Great week in the market this week for us bulls who are looking for things to move higher. Not so much for the bears because we stuck the landing on what I think is a really important breakout and one that potentially could get us to all-time highs. Despite all of the crazy news out there, one of the things that I'm always really excited for as a technician is the fact that I don't care about all of the back and forth that's going on. So let's dive into some charts. We'll talk about a new algorithm that we're building over at StatsEdge. And as always, later in the weekend, once all the systems are done running, StatsEdge trading people will get their entire trading plan taken care of for them next week, in which they're going to have entries, exits, stop losses for day trades, swing trades, investments, all of that sorted for you. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you come on over to statsedgetrading.com and give us a try there. So without further ado, let's pop into it here. And let's just start with the actual market and the breakout that I was talking about. Although a kind of choppy inside day today, I think it was very important to see that this was, all the bad news, the bromance breakup, the craziness that was happening in the market got us back inside of this range that I've been talking about for weeks, this kind of 595.50 all the way down to 575. We've been chopping back and forth in this range. We broke out, we came back down. That was a bit of a scary candle just because it could have potentially been a failed breakout, but we gapped up today and we held green, and that was the real important thing, right? If we go into the intraday chart, not much really happened today. Wouldn't have been a good day to actually be super actively trading, but we held green right here. So that means that that breakout has been confirmed by at least 2 days now of price action. So as long as nothing falls apart this weekend, that looks like that could continue. And now we are only like 2% off all-time highs. Yeah, 2% off all-time highs. So sorry for the bears out there or people who got scared out at the bottom and then rallied back up, but we were at all-time highs. So one of those close enough to all-time highs. So one of those times where you have to kind of reevaluate, what happened. Take a deep breath. If you got out of all of your positions and you didn't get back in, try systematic trading and investing over at StatsEdge Trading. Not going to say that we made money all the way down. We definitely entered a drawdown and then came back out as things moved higher. So IWV is the Russell 3000. That stuck the breakout as well. I wanted to show RSP, which stuck the breakout a little bit, not quite as high as this one here, but RSP is the equal weighted version of the S&P 500. That did well. And crazy enough, IWM not only stuck the landing, but actually a little bit better, which is weird to say because IWM has definitely been a dog. Now we need to see the same thing kind of happen from Bitcoin. It looked pretty bad that we are potentially breaking down. You could kind of look at this as maybe a head and shoulders type pattern, but it hadn't really confirmed yet. It has to get under this kind of neckline and hold, and we are bouncing here as well. So if this continues higher, then that wasn't a head and shoulders, it was a bull flag. That's why these patterns are really, really subjective, and why at StatsEdge we use backtesting and systematic investing and systematic trading, because all of these are very subjective. They give us a good idea of what's going on, and that's why I still do this analysis, because I want that idea, but it doesn't really tell me 100% what is happening, because again, they're very, very subjective. When it comes to actual time to put on trades, you want to be a little bit more objective than that. But this list up here is my crypto list that I go through every night, and you can see pretty much everything here, right? So except Farcoin, which kind of led the bounce yesterday, pulling back a bit today, but pretty much everything else we're looking at here is green. So the fact that we're seeing that is telling me that this might be a little bit of a follow through for what we saw in the overall market. Taking a quick look here at the dollar just continues to base sideways, and I made an argument before that I think that is bullish. If the dollar can base sideways, then that shows that there is some constructive action, because what the market doesn't want is a dollar moving dramatically. What the dollar wants is a dollar moving a little bit more sideways. When it came to some of the areas to watch, right, nuclear made its, or uranium kind of pulled back a little bit for a couple days and pushed up, and same a little bit with some of these small nuclear reactors. So SMR, for example, this was the prior all-time highs. We broke out, we came back, and we tested that. So a lot of these more speculative names that are good to look at, risk on, risk off, QBTS. These were looking good as well, right? So here's a quantum name that was holding up, and then space, right? We had a nice candle here in space names as well. I look at these to gauge the risk off, risk on kind of potential of things, and it looks to be a little bit of risk on. So ME, I want to go through, because if anyone who was following the MEHCQ, I think it is, yeah. So anyone who was following the channel, I talked a little bit about Monday that we have some new experimental momentum strategies for StatsEdge Pro members, and I was a little bit worried about them because the back test looked really, really good without. It wasn't so much that the back test was so amazing that it was unrealistic, but it was the fact that I didn't do anything to it and it just worked so well. I didn't have to finesse it at all. Made me a little worried, so I kind of tested these in public with you guys. So I'll go over these at the end of the week here too. So here is the entry on 23andMe, even though this is a company going through bankruptcy right now, which is really hard to pull the trigger on, but you can see the massive move that happened from that. And a lot of the other ones were platinum futures. So this kind of leads me to the other thing I wanted to talk about as well. So we bought, some of these platinum ETFs right in this area as well, and they turned out phenomenally. But I think this leads to more of a chat about precious metals, which looks like they might be breaking out here. We have platinum was looking good. PALL is a palladium, and that's breaking out here as well. And then also silver. Right, nice little breakout here on silver. So this is an area that I think you really want to focus going into next week. Is these metals got really, really hot, and again, they're not as sexy as space or robotics or anything like that, but they did well. So that means it's something, to me anyway, that we want to focus a little bit on. So thanks for coming to the wrap up for the week. Again, StatsEdge Pro members, I'm going to include this new beta strategy in this week's report. I'm just going to make it very clear that this is still a beta strategy. So talk a little bit about what that means, right? I build strategies. Generally, I trade them with my own money first and keep them kind of to myself. And then if they work out well, great, because quite often they don't. For every good strategy, there's a couple others that get to the testing phase and then maybe fall apart for some reason. Now that I've tested this for 1 week, which isn't enough for me, a lot of people in the room that I kind of shared these symbols with wanted me to put them in the trading bot. So we have a bot that will alert you in real time when one of these triggers are hit for everything we do over at StatsEdge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include them in the email and mark them as beta. And I'm going to put them in the bot for next week. So if they trigger, you'll see them as well, but I'm also going to mark them there as beta. So, it'll be first beta and then the big string of text after that. So when you see those come through, that's what that means. This is something that we're testing. If it works well and you guys give good feedback for another couple weeks, and works well doesn't mean makes money. Works well means I run the back test and it says these are the things that should have happened, and then in the real world, those are the things that should have happened. That's what I'm comparing to, is how it's related to the back test. If those things work out, then we'll take those live, and I'll do a whole video and everything I have on the channel. Every one of the setups that I have on StatsEdgeTrading.com, I have all of the statistics for. I have a video of me talking about it. I have all of these things, and that's what I'll do with this as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited because we got a lot for swing trading, we have a lot of pullback, we got a mean reversion, we have all this stuff. We were missing a momentum type strategy. I've been working for a long time to get one. I think this might be it. So stay tuned there. And again, if you're not a member of StatsEdge Trading, check that out. But until then, we're in a bull market. It's time to do less work, hold on to trades that are working, and get away from the screens.